Good morning, traders. Venderman here with FuturestraderElite with your NQ pre-market prep on 12/16. So let's jump in here, look at some high time frame chart on the 1 hour. Okay, so we got a 4-hour trend line way up top here. This red line way up top. And then this is the 1 hour trend line coming down here. So here's what we're going to look at today as far as structure. We tagged, we dropped, got a little bounce and a hard drop. We tagged it again and dropped. So right here, we're around we're at almost 300 right now trading wise. And so what we're going to be looking at is maybe a test of that golden pivot for a rejection, which would be right on that trend line depending on the how fast it got there and what time it got there, because of course that pivot is going to be moving over as the morning goes on. So say somewhere in here, you know, we get a sweep. Maybe we get a sweep of the sweep of this pivot or this trend line. Say that this pivot moves over to this area somewhere, and maybe we break through the 1 hour trend line, sweep it, tag the pivot and reject. I'm going to be thinking more about being on the bearish side unless we can break above this golden pivot, which is at 434, say 435. We have to break above that, maybe even consolidate a little bit, maybe retest it, close above it, retest it, bounce. And then we need to break this here for me to get bullish. We're going to have to break, let's see what area this is up here, 670 to 700. You know, we really need to, we need to break this here. This drop, come up, get above this pivot and break that. And if we could do that, then we would be thinking about, you know, coming up to the R2 pivot at 816. And then we got a previous all-time high yellow line there at 851. So that's about 600 points away from where we're at, something like that. Can we get there? Sure, we can get there. Just depends. I mean, this structure ain't looking the best. Structure really is bullish on the higher time frames. If we tighten this screen up a little bit, I mean, it just don't look good at all. And we really need to protect this low right here. From say 870 to 890 or so. That's 24. 870 and 890. We need to protect this low right here. If we break this low today, which I know that's still a long ways away, it's 400 or 500 points the other way, but if we lose this low, it could start getting a lot worse for us on the bearish side, which is fine. You know, you just got to be prepared to play it short if we need to play it short, and then play it long on any first reaction bounces on the way down. But that's going to be the line in the sand for me today. In case they do decide they want to drag this down, I would expect a pretty hard bounce between 870 and 900. But that don't mean it'll happen. It could pierce right through it. We just have to see how the market's reacting when it opens, and if it were to get down that low, what kind of speed there is behind it. You know, they start doing a stop hunt. Some of them candles can get going pretty fast, pretty big, and just pierce through it. Even though it should act as a key level, it could just get pierced through depending on what the market makers want to do. You know, the S3 pivot is way down there at 669, and it's quite a ways away as well. See how tight they try to keep it? I think we should really keep our focus between these trend lines. We got this 1 hour down here and this 1 hour up here. As you can see, we got this S2 pivot here. By the time the market opens, we'll be over here. Well, we're gonna be somewhere right over in this area somewhere. So it'd have to sweep that 1 hour line quite a lot in order to tag that pivot. I would be thinking I would probably try to play first reaction off of this trend line, especially with this blue line that we have here crossing through the trend line. You can see right here it tagged that blue line several times, pierced through it, sucked back up and closing up. So, you know, if this opens up and comes over here, this blue line is at 100, between 100 and 105. I'd be looking for a pretty good bounce there. This is going to work itself, either break this trend line or probably break down on this 1 hour trend line. One of the two things is more than likely going to happen today. Let's look at this on the 15 minute. So we've got, you know, looking at this on the 15 minute, I'm going to say you got to watch for rejection at 325. You know, each one of these levels needs to be broken and then either pierce through, maybe a retest for a bounce. So 325 and then 395 or 390, 395 on the way to the golden pivot. You can see we got all this consolidating back here on this 15 minute before it finally broke down here. So you got to think the first reaction to this yellow line at 393 is probably going to be a short play, just for the simple fact it did all this consolidating before it broke down. It means there's going to be a lot of confluence of resistance there to go short. And you know, you got to take what you get. It might only be 15 points, could be 5, it could be 50. But you got to be prepared to get out of the trade once you're in, and then it may reclaim this line and go on and try to tag this pivot up here, which around the time the market opens, well, we'll be over in this area somewhere. So, you know, the pivot will be above this trend line at that point. So it'd be worth watching them to sweep this trend line just to tag that pivot. We'll see where it is around opening bell and see what happens there. But the overall, I mean, the overall, the structure is bearish. So you have to keep in mind any big spikes or anything they do really need to be looking for a area that they're going to reject, no doubt. You know, rejection at the golden pivot, rejection at the R1, all these singular lines that we have in here, the green lines, the yellow ones, which are previous all-time highs. All these lines act like magnets. And then, of course, we got the zone boxes as well, 30-point zone boxes. You know, we could get this zone box here is 336 to about 366. I mean, you see we on this consolidation it bounced, kind of swept the bottom of that box, but got back to the top before the breakdown. This could come up here and, you know, hit that top of that zone box and just reject. Got to be prepared for all scenarios. But those will be the key levels that we're looking at today, that I'm looking at. And then, like any other day, before the market opens, before that bell hits, I will update the live updates channel with some precision entry zones marked up on the chart I try to wait until we get a little closer to opening. That way I can see what the chart has done up to that point before I make any decisions for my own trading. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, and stay sharp today, stay safe, and I see you in Discord. Have a good trading day.